Chaturmukha Samarambham Vakbhadacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ragadirogan Sadatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasutan Asheshatan Aulsukyamoharadinanjakhana Purva Vaidyaya Tasmai. So, from our last session where we were discussing about the Nimitta Karanas, still we are moving around the Nidana. And we had a couple of questions raised in that regard. About the influence of that Hina Yoga, Adi Yoga and Mithya Yoga of Kala, Artha and Karma. And one of my early RAV students, she sent me a question. Then another couple of friends also wanted me to have some explanation on some of the points, not all. So actually that it is not very complicated. The words Hinam, Adi and Mithya is interesting actually. So when we discuss about Kalam, Artham and Karmam, anything which is suboptimal. See, in Kalam, that was one point. In Kalam, Ritu has got certain features, isn't it? Apart from the calendar, the Lakshanam of the Ritu is more important. So, based on the Lakshana, the Ritu is identified. This is Grishma Ritu. Even if the calendar may be saying that this is Varsha Ritu, but all the features will be of a Grishma Ritu. So it should be understood as Grishma Ritu only, and the Charya should be designed accordingly. Just because of the calendar says that it is Varsha Ritu, as long as there are no Lakshanas, I think it is very difficult to follow the Varsha Ritu Charya if the Lakshanas are not like that. So as far as the Hina Yoga of Kala is concerned, it is Varsha Ritu and it is raining, but not as expected. Whatever is to be happened in terms of the rain, it is not happening. Less. That is Hina Yoga. Adi Yoga means much, much more than what is expected or what is supposed to happen normally. So then it is Adi Yoga of that Ritu, Kala. Mithya Yogam of Kalam is still different. It is, as I told earlier, it is totally a different feature than what is expected. So it is not about becoming less or becoming more of the expected one, but an entirely different one. That is what we call as the mithya. So this word mithya is having many meaning. Context-wise, in certain context, we find, see the Jagan Mithya, that sort of words you can use in philosophy. You can see. Then it is something like a sort of a false knowledge, mithya jnana. That is one way of explaining or understanding mithya. But there are many other meanings as well for the word mithya. Untrue. Untrue is that mithya jnana, wrong. So then, in some other context, something which contradicts, that is also called a mithya. So here, I think that may be a better understanding of the word mithya. Something which contradicts. So, version is expected, but the presence contradicts the expectation. The reality contradicts the expectation. So, even though varsham is expected, what happens is the features of Grishma or the features of Hemandam or Shishiram. So, that is the mithya of Kala, mithya yoga. Similarly, Indriyartham. So, there should be an optimal engagement of the Indriya with its artha for its proper functioning. We have made a detailed narration about that, the importance of proper Indriya and Indriyartha samyoga. Just not that samyoga, but its proper processing to end up in the Indriya Buddhi, and accordingly the Jnana Utpatti, then the response accordingly, which leads to the karma by the corresponding karma Indriyas. So when this Indriya Artha Sannikarsha is suboptimal, then we call it as Hina Yoga. That is supposed to create certain types of vyadhis. So then that is the Nidana. Adi Yoga means engagement in excess. Engagement in excess. That is also causing vikaras. Mithya Yoga means some sort of a perverted engagement. See, in that mithya, the sense has deeper meaning. It even goes to the level of the influence that it is creating in the buddhi level. Seeing unpleasant situations, hearing unpleasant words, bad words, or experiencing unpleasant touch, unpleasant smell. So, mithya yogam is not about heenam or adi, but it is about a disturbing type of, which need not be disturbing to the person who is enjoying it at that point of time, but it is about the disturbing in terms of the outcome, what is going to happen to the sharira, to the doshas by the influence of such an engagement. Then that is about the Indriya Artha Mithyahina Adi Yogas. Then regarding the karma, we did not explain that. Karmam is divided. We all know that karmam is divided into kaya, vak, chitta bhedena. Kaya, vak, chitta bhedena karmabi vibhajed trutha. And kayikam, manasam, vajikam. The interesting thing is that this is a universal statement. There is no exceptions. When you consider the kayikam, vajikam, and manasam, these three levels of karma, actually that covers all possible activities that a human being can perform. Kaikam, Vachikam, and Manasam. So that is some sort of an all-encompassing statement. So that is very important. We should go to the finer understanding of these features. So when we say about Hina Yoga of the karma at the level of Kaya, that means practically the potential of the Kaya, Sharira, to perform a work is not done or done in a very suboptimal way. That is the Hina Yoga of the Kaiga Karma. That is going to influence the status of doshas, srodhas, dhatus, in turn making the Sharira Vyadhitam. That is the Hina Yoga. Adi Yoga means engaging in some sort of a excessive karma by Sharira. Beyond the capacity, stretching it beyond the capacity. That is Adi Yoga of the Kayika Karma. Then Mithya Yoga of the Kayika Karma. That is again some sort of a perverted usage. See, certain postures which are celebrated in the Yoga Vidya, Hatha Yoga Vidya, we can understand, we can say that they are very frankly, I am not judging the quality of regular practice of yoga, Hatha Yoga, but in a common sense, in a very, what should I say, prima facie, that is a perverted way, so say for example, Shirshasanam. Shirshasanam, whether it is a Adi Yoga or Hina Yoga, no, it is not Adi Yoga, it is not Hina Yoga, but it is a Mithya Yoga. That is not supposed to be the way in which Sharira is to be engaged in a particular karma. Shirshasanam. Or there can be many other, that is why we Vishamanga Kriyarambhaha. Vishamanga Kriyarambhaha is a Mithya Yoga of Sharira. But as far as a yoga practice is concerned, this particular practice is slowly developed by conditioning the body by abhyasam. It is abhyasam, abhyaso avartanaha, by regular practice in small quantities. Body is getting trained for that. That is a different question. But when somebody is trying it at random, that is going to be a mithya yogam. Then in the same way, Vajika karma. Vajika karma is the verbal engagement. When there is no verbal engagement, of very little verbal engagement, that is supposed to be the Hina Yoga of the Vajika karma. And when it is in excess, people try to escape the moment somebody is coming into contact because they fear that this person will never stop talking. That is Adi Yoga of Vajika karma. Then what is Mithya Yogam? Again, using again the bad words. That is a Mithya Yoga of Vajika karma. Or trying to spread wrong information, reflection of jealousy, the reflection of disgust. So all these things are Mithya Yoga of the Vajika karma. Then coming to the Manasa karma. Manasa karma, many things. Chinda, Vicharam, Uham, Dhyanam, Sankalpam. We know many things. So when the person is not engaging in any of these Manasa karmas, that is Hina Yoga. When it is Adi Yogam, excessive. It is excessive. Adi Dhyanata, Dhyana Parata. Adichindanam, chindyanam cha adichindanad. That is Adi Yoga. Mithya Yogam is thinking, engaging in the manasa vritti, which is going to be contradictory to what is supposed to be done. Just thinking about negative factors alone, just thinking about distracting factors alone, engaging in some sort of a conspiracy, these are all manasa mithya karma. So, one question was, if the Indriyas are not used properly, will it cause any problem? Yes, it will cause. Primarily, it will end up in the karmahani or shakti hani of that particular Indriya. If you close your one eye for months together and then try to open it, what will happen? It might have developed some sort of a issue with its capacity to perceive vision, perceive light. Same will happen with all other Indriyas. So it happens. I have a personal experience. See, for one person who was sitting in, this is very important also. See, in certain situations, when the person, say for example, one kudipraveshika chikitsa, one person is residing in a particular kudi for the rasayana chikitsa, maybe for months together, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, without exposing himself to any of the indriyarthas optimally. So practically there is a hina yoga. So once the rasayana chikitsa is completed, this person should be exposed to the normal engagements with the indriyarthas very slowly, in a very conditioned transition, slow conditioned transition. Otherwise, this exposure itself is going to cause severe intolerance towards that indriyartha, because there was a challenging situation that these indriyas were going through during the kudipravesha chikitsa because of the continuous hina yoga in the indriyartha samyoga. Then it should be slowly regained, because the indriyas have become suboptimally functioning during that period, even though they were getting the sort of nourishment because of the rasayana chikitsa. In the real exposure, that is going to be a bit challenging. So that happens. And I already explained one example of lazy eye. In the same way, we may not be identifying the lazy ear or lazy skin or lazy nose, but that is happening. It is not going to, it is not affecting the quality of life in day-to-day affairs as it is affecting in the case of eye. That is why one word called lazy eye, one phrase called lazy eye is very famous, whereas lazy nose or lazy ear or lazy tongue is not very famous. But that happens. That is happening. So that is about the hina, mithya and adi. So we should look into the nidanas, because a proper understanding of the nidana vishesha, a proper understanding of the nidana vishesha empowers the Vaidya to come up with proper, precise prescriptions. How a proper, precise prescription will look like. Just by seeing the prescription, we can understand whether it is a proper, precise prescription or a random prescription considering all lakshanas together. A precise prescription will have minimum entry into it, in it. Otherwise, if you have no idea about the Nidana Vishesha and the subsequent developments of the Samprapti, the Vaidya will be forced to write medicines randomly. There will be n number of items which will look like the menu card of a restaurant. There will be n number of prescriptions. There will be representations from all Kalpana Visheshas. There will be one Churnam, one Kashayam, one Kridam, one Leham, one Gudiga, one Arishtam. Everything will be there because the Vaidya wants to safeguard himself from missing one point. So that is not a precise prescription. So understanding the Nidana Vishesha precisely will empower the Vaidya. So we should, as our training part, we should try to make out. Of course, at the end of the day, we may fail. Doesn't matter because this is an exercise. This is an exercise. Avartanaha abhyasartham, and at one point, abhyasal prapyade siddhihi karma siddhi prakashini. So karma siddhi prakashini drishtihi abhyasad prapyade. So without abhyasa, there is no question of gaining this practice. So we should repeatedly attempt. We should put all our efforts to understand the Nidana Vishesha. Then obviously we will come up with a Aushadha Vishesha or Bheshaja Vishesha. So as there are differences between Nidana and Nidana Vishesha, there are differences between Bheshaja and Bheshaja Vishesha. It is all about precision prescriptions. It's all about precision prescriptions. So that is very important. Then moving further, this Chikitsa based on Nidana or Karana is supposed to be the fundamental line of treatment in any Rogavastha. That is supposed to be the fundamental line, the first line, which the Vaidya is not supposed to deviate from. So Shruta makes that bold statement which we are all familiar with. Sankshepada Kriya Yogo Nidana Parivarjanam. Sankshepatāha, in short, Kriya Yoga, application of a Chikitsa, means or starts with Nidana Parivarjanam. When this Nidana Parivarjanam is done, actually we have already entered into the orbit of precise prescription. That is why at one point, even like a point of discussion, Charaga makes a statement. What is that statement? Jayande hedu vaishamyad vishama dehadhadavaha. Jayande hedu vaishamyad vishama dehadhadavaha. Hedu samyad samaha. Hedu samyad samaha. Tesham swabhavo parama sada. Whether it is a sutram in its right sense or whether it is a point of discussion which is yet to be discussed and concluded, these are all different questions. But there is a point in it. What is that point? Jayande hedu vaishamyad vishamaha dehadhadavaha. 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 Doshaha. Hedu vaishamyad vishamaha jayante. Hedu vaishamyad. When the kala artha karma goes to a level of vaishamyam, that means hina mithyadi yogam. Dehadhadavaha vishamaha jayante. Dehadhadavaha vishamaha jayante. Hedu samyad samaha. When the hedus come to a samya avastha, that means kalartha karmanam yogaha samyag yogaha. when there is a samyak yoga of kalartha karma. Hedu samyam, that is called Hedu samyam, will make the dehadhadavaha samaha, will make the dehadhadus samam. And then what happens? Swabhavoparama sada, swabhav tesham swabhavoparamaha. Swabhavoparamaha. Uparamaha means retraction or withdrawal from that situation of engaging in a samprapti. The trend or the tendency of the doshas to get engaged in a samprapti is natural. That is their tendency. Dushana swabhavad. That is why they are called doshas. But that needs a karanam. It cannot happen without a karanam. So when there is presence of the karanas like hina, mithya and abhiyoga, doshas easily indulge to that exercise of departing away from the normalcy. Jayande hedu vaishamyad vishamaha dehadhadavaha vishamaha jayande hedu samyal samaha. When there is hedu samyam, samyak yoga of kalartha karma, they come to the samavastha. So just by making some sort of an environment, just by making an environment which can put the doshas in samavastha, that is enough for the vikara shamanam. That is enough for vikara shamanam. Actually, this point is to be discussed in a broader platform, which we will come to later. And because this swabhavoparama vadam is a little bit complex and little bit confusing as well, because just after putting this point into discussion, immediately Agnivesha asks a question in Charaka Samhita, we can find it. Then should we continue studying this subject? Should we join for BAMS again, or we should go for some other job? Because if this is the possibility, what is the role of a Chikitsaka? For what purpose all these Chikitsa, Panchakarmam, Shamanam, Shodhanam, all these things are done? Because they are all having Swabhavoparamaha. They have got a tendency of self-restraint or self-retraction to the normal stage, so that the environment is conducive. The only condition is that the environment is conducive. So does it make any sense to engage in the act of Chikitsa? That was the question. That was the doubt of Agnivesh at that point of time. So we will not come to that, because our point is how to train ourselves in clinical methodology of Ayurveda. So that, coming to that point, every student of clinical medicine, clinical Ayurveda should work hard and harder to understand the Nidana Vishesha. And this point is very important because in Matrasitiyam, we find a bold statement by Acharya Vagbhada. It is there with other Acharyas as well, but Vagbhada makes it more categorical. What is that categorical statement? This Shanti Rama Vikaranam Bhavadittu Apatarpanad Trividham Trividhe Doshe Tal Samikshya Prayojayed. Tatralpe Langhanam Pathyam Madhye Langhanapajanam Prabhude Shodhanam Tadhi Mulad Unmulayen Malan. After making this highly generalized statement, we can find Vagbhada making this statement having Vyapti to many other situations, not many other situations, all other clinical situations. What is that? Evam anyanapi vyadhin, evam anyanapi vyadhin. Anyanapi vyadhin means in other vyadhis as well. Evam, in the same manner, Swanidana viparyayad chikitsed. So tatra alpe langhanam pathyam madhye langhanapajanam prabhude shodhanam. That is one thing. And before that, Shanti Rama Vikaranam Bhavati tu apatarpanad, tu avadharane, to give that stress, the tu is used. Shanti Rama Vikaranam Bhavati tu apatarpanad. Ama Vikaranam Shantihi apatarpanad jayante. Shanti Rama Vikaranam bhavati. So apatarpanad bhavati. So that is to make stress, he uses tu. Ama vikaranam shantihi tu apatarpanad bhavati. Evam अन्यान् अपि व्याधीन् स्वनिदान विपर्ययाद चिकित्सेद. Swanidana viparyayada chikitsed. That is the first line of treatment in anyana vivyadhi. You can take this anyan as the vikaras which are explained in the chapter Matrasitiyam, like Vishuchika, Alasakam, or Danda Alasakam, or whatever, Ajirna vikaras. But in practical sense, to the core, it is not limited to the vikaras of the ajirna, but it is applicable all across the text. So, Swanidana viparyayad chikitse, that is the first line of management. Then, anubandhe tu sati. Anubandhe sati. If in spite of the Nidana Viparya Chikitsa, the conditions persist. The conditions persist. Then only you may go for Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa or Tadarthakari Chikitsa. This is the extreme sense of understanding this suggestion. But for all practical purposes, we should make it a point that Nidana Viparya Chikitsa is considered primarily, at least as the first line. Parallel to that, considering various factors like the time required for the reversal of the symptoms and the changing lifestyle of the present day, we may introduce some Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa parallel to that. That is understandable. But without considering the Hedu Viparya factor, engaging in Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa alone will not give you sustainable results. It will give you, say, in the modern sense of explaining, that may give some sort of a patient gratification, but not patient benefit. That may give temporary gratification of patient by masking the symptoms temporarily, but that is not going to benefit the child, the patient in long run. So this Hedu Viparita Chikitsa is of prime importance. So understanding Hedu is of prime importance. Understanding Hedu is prime importance. So Hedu Vishesha, make all attempt, in spite of the possibility of utter failure, because many of the situations the person involved may not be bothered about any of the nidanas. And another interesting point is that any patient in general will try to make his part clear in the causation of the disease. I am innocent. I have not committed any wrongdoings, and this disease is not a fault of my actions. So obviously there is every possibility that you will fail in exploring, in identifying the Nidana Vishesha, but that need not be the case. By proper training, self-training, by repeated exercise, a good Vaidya can succeed in identifying the Nidana Vishesha. So we'll come up with more important factors. This is supposed to be the key factor of understanding Nidana and importance of understanding Nidana. We will come up with more points in our next session. So here we stop today. Next session will be on Wednesday morning, 6:30. So then we can retire now. Bhishajam sadhu vrittanam bhadram agamasalinam abhyasta karmanam bhadram bhadrabhilashinam. Good day to all.